Hey, Forrest here. Nothing like getting paid. And with ICCU's mobile app, I can deposit checks or accept Zelle payments so the money hits my account fast. I just wish there was an app for mowing the rest of these lawns.
Right now, Lithia Ford of Boise is buying used vehicles. How much you want for the SUV?
I don't know.
Well, Lithia Ford will give you more than that.
How much more?
More than you think.
I'm not thinking anything.
I'm thinking you might get even more than that. See how much more you can get at Lithia Ford of Boise.
When it comes to concrete, we've got you covered. RowPaint.com offers custom concrete coating services for your garage, business, warehouse, and more. And we do it in one day. We are your complete concrete coatings solution.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Now, here's BJ Rains with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Hey, what's going on, Boise State fans? BJ Rains here with Mike Prater. Happy Bronco Nation News Live here, BroncoNationNews.com. Happy Tuesday with you. Happy Tuesday, and we got Mike Prater on a rare Tuesday occurrence here. How's it going, Mike?
BJ, what's going on? I'm happy to be here on a Tuesday. Is this like a Tuss Tuesday?
It is.
Like a show with a real name? Like a
yeah,
Tuss
it means
Tuesday?
you got to take your shirt off and start bench pressing for us or something. Yeah. JP said my video's choppy. Is it okay right now?
I think we're good. We had a little rough start there, but I just gave him the thumbs up. I think we're good to go.
Okay, I'm plugged into Ethernet, so we shouldn't have any issues. I don't know. We'll blame Sparklight, I guess, but hopefully that was it. But we appreciate you switching. We got practice going on today, so Jay needed to get out there, so we switched Mike and Jay for a Tuesday and Thursday this week. So we appreciate you being flexible at the last minute last night, Mike. And we were listening yesterday. Idaho Sports Talk 3 to 6. We had the press conferences yesterday, so I know we're a day removed, from talking about the game on Saturday, but still a lot of angst in Bronco Nation, man. You win 30-7, you're 2-1 on the season, and you still got people bickering on social media and unhappy, and it's a very interesting time, I guess, in Boise State athletics right now with the football team.
We've been reminded once again that there's two different kinds of fans. There's the kind of fan that loves to get on social media and get negative and kind of get a little weird. And I have to admit, I'm that fan. It's very well chronicled that I'm that negative fan, whether it's my team, your team, somebody else's team. And then there's the other group of fans who just went and had a great time, enjoyed it. You saw them on social media. They had like 100 people commenting, "Go Broncos, this, beautiful day, that, good to see family, that." So, yeah, the hardcore football fans, they're a little bit fired up right now. The real football fans, the one that just want to see Boise State win, are pretty happy that the Broncos are 2-1.
Yeah, Perry says no angst here, but that's not what I'm seeing from everybody out there. Yeah, there is certainly a divide right now in winning ugly versus winning with style points and looking good. And part of it, Mike, is probably the confidence level, in terms of, yeah, maybe they won, but fans are saying if you play like that, you're not going to beat San Diego State or Fresno. Some people are saying, hey, survive in advance, you win, and so I think there is a difference in kind of what it looks like now versus what it could look like later in the season. Have they reached their peak? Is there room to get better, or is this what it's going to be all season? It's kind of slug it out. Leon Rice calls it a brick fight. They usually score 70 or 80 points, and last year they had to win a lot of games in the 50s and even some in the 40s, and it was just what you had to do to win the game. And he called it taking bricks to a brick fight, and I think we're at least to this point, it's shown, Mike, that we're going to see a different style of football this year. We're going to see a lot more lower scoring, grinded out type of games, I think.
It seems like that they're heading in that direction, and we learned a lot yesterday in the press conference in terms of what they want to do and how this offense is evolving, and maybe more of a ground game, take it out of Hank Bachmeier's hand a little bit, trust and rely on a couple of running backs. But we got some issues with that as well, BJ, in terms of the offensive line. Let's dive deep hard into that. But, yeah, this football team has issues. There's no doubt about it. But let's two things here. And I don't want to be the positive guy, or maybe I do want to be the positive guy. One, it's okay that football teams get better sometimes. And everybody says, this football team is done. They're going to win 3 games. There's no way. This football team, other football teams, and football teams can get better. Number 2, look at the Mountain West. How crappy is the Mountain West? We're going to do a segment today on Idaho Sports Talk. It might be historically bad in terms of how bad it is. Right now, I think Boise State's one of the better teams. I would still predict Boise State to win the Mountain Division. I know that trip to Air Force is going to be pesky, but we saw Air Force. They're not scary all of a sudden. So
Yeah.
I think this is a wide open deal. And if Boise State could get to UTEP, take care of some business, and come back and decide their season in 8 days, let's see what happens, BJ.
Hey, make sure you follow us on YouTube, the Bronco Nation News YouTube channel. We would really appreciate that. We're adding daily content with the press conference video, the live shows, all that great stuff. So please, just as a quick reminder, if you are watching on YouTube now, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that little bell so you're notified when we go live with live broadcasts. But please do subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's free and easy, and we would appreciate your support there. I have a couple Tim Plow bites. I also have a Kent Riddle bite that I wanted to play that I think now makes a lot more sense and ties into what everybody is saying. Rudy says you can't come out and say we're changing the offensive mentality. If that's what's happening, you have to make your opponents prepare for everything. Clint says the offense just needs to improve. I think it will, but the defense is fun to watch with Tarlis flying around everywhere. Perry says the defense will keep us in every game. It was funny. One of my friends texted me during the last game, Mike, and said, maybe it was during the New Mexico game, said we look like Iowa. Is what he said. And then I saw some graphic come out today where in terms of giving up the least amount of explosive plays on defense, but scoring the least amount of explosive plays on offense, there were two teams in the way upper corner that did that. And it was Iowa and Boise State.
What?
And so they're not giving up very many explosive plays on defense, but they're not getting a ton of explosive plays on offense either. So it has shifted to a little bit of a at least in the second half of these games, ground and pound and run the clock. I mean, the time of possession was like 40 minutes to 20 minutes in that last game. In the second half, the play calling, I think, was like 29-7 or something in terms of run versus pass. And so I think that whether it's Andy Avalos saying, hey, we got a defense, he's a defensive head coach and saying we're going to win this game with defense and lower scoring games, whether it's Tim Plow saying we don't have the quarterback or the offense to run what I want to run. There's a lot of different things here, but I went back and read a story, Mike, this morning that we wrote after we talked to Tim Plow the day he was hired. He did his little pre-press conference thing about what we were going to expect from the offense and all this stuff, and everything you read and about what he says is going to happen. What he's going to do in terms of the up tempo and the no huddle and hurrying to the line of scrimmage as fast as they can and trying to make the defense react to them. And all this stuff is absolutely nothing what we're seeing right now. And frankly, it's not what we saw all of last season either, but it's just a total change. I mean, you look at some of the stats that I had back then when he got hired, but I mean, Tim Plow in his 3 years at UC Davis, they averaged 42.5 passing attempts per game, 42.5 passing attempts per game. This year, they're at 29.3 passing attempts per game, and all of last year, they were at 34. So you're talking, even last year, 8 fewer passing attempts per game than he did at UC Davis. And now it's about 13 passing attempts fewer per game. And they obviously ranked in the top 10 in passing yards in his 3 years there. He's made it very clear that he would love to pass every play if he could, Mike. But we're not seeing that right now. Something has changed, and I think the reason we're still trying to figure out why.
Yeah, I mean, he said it yesterday in his press conference, just as recently as 20 hours ago, where he said nobody wants to pass the football more than me anywhere in this country. So he clearly wants to pass the football. Those are good stats, BJ. I think he's finding out that he doesn't have the material to do it. And is it fair to say, and everybody can shut their ears here, maybe Tim Plow's doing a good coaching job with everybody else on this staff of trying to evolve this offense around what they have. I know exactly why he's doing it. You know exactly why he's doing it. He doesn't have the personnel, and I think we're finding that out. Maybe we were a little bit duped about this offense, but this offensive line is not good right now. And I know that Andy Avalos described some issues yesterday, but they gave up, 3 sacks and 9 TFLs to UT Martin over the weekend. 3 sacks and 9 TFLs. That's alarming to me. That's serious penetration from an FCS football program. I don't know if the talent is there at wide receiver. I don't know if the talent is there at quarterback. The talent isn't there at running back consistently. We saw George Holani do George Holani things this last weekend, but he's not like that every single game. Maybe they will if they give him the emphasis moving forward. I think the talent, the scheme, everything about this offense was off. And the only thing that concerns me about that is this coaching staff was so excited about this offense coming out of fall camp. I'm not sure they even knew what they had or how bad this offense could be.
Well, I want to play a Tim Plow quote because it was very telling yesterday in terms of what this offense has become. But I quickly do want to thank a couple of our great sponsors before we go any further. Transportation Compliance Service. Check them out, TCS, whether it's that big rig you see on the screen or an Amazon truck. If you're wanting to become a truck driver, it's a booming industry in the pandemic right now, and TCS can help you every step of the way to get you out there towing that first load in no time. Check them out, transcomservice.com. Our friends at the Blue and Orange store as well. $40 online order gets you free shipping. Just make an online order of $40 or more at theblueandorangestore.com and get free shipping. They also have all the great NIL gear and all the coaches' sideline apparel, all that great stuff there at the Boise Town Square Mall. Check them out, the Boise Town Square Mall, theblueandorangestore.com. Mike, this is Tim Plow yesterday talking about the offense and some of the changes, and there's 3 or 4 things that I noted here that I want to get to within this 2-minute clip here. But here's Tim Plow.
It's not about what I want. It's about what's best for the team. And I think we saw last year that, there were some games early in the year we might have thrown for 400 yards, but I think we had less than 100 yards rushing, and I'm getting signs on my car, and they're going to burn our house down for not running the ball well, And so I think it's a balance back and forth of trying to figure out what's best for our team. And our best player is our running back, and our offensive line does better when they're aggressive and can come off the ball and run the football. And protections become easier because you can play action now and you can keep more guys in for protection. And if you get into a drop-back world, there's some of those things you're going to give up, And so I think it's just the identity of our team that we really believe in here, that we got a great defense. And, if we can protect the football and grind teams out in the run game and impose our will physically, that fits the identity of who we have right now and what we want to be. And, that's our focus. Doesn't mean we don't want to throw the ball. No one wants to throw the ball more than I do. But it has to be what's best for our team. It has to fit within the game plan. And I'm still very confident that we'll have some good days throwing the ball. Haven't had those good days yet, and that's frustrating for me, obviously, and frustrating for all of our guys. But that, again, I think it's going to come as we gain more rhythm with what we're trying to do. And we have made a big shift offensively from schematic and what we're trying to do. Put a lot of work into that. And it's going to take time. It's going to take time for us to build rhythm there. But I think what we saw this game was there was some balance and some rhythm in the first half where, if we're putting 250 yards up in a half, that's really, really good out of that system. And, with the way we're huddling now and going to get less possessions, we got to make sure that we're, every single play is going to matter. And we got to make sure we execute that consistently to the best of our ability. You got to play the game to win the game. And it's not about, putting up gaudy stats. Sometimes it's about winning football games. And we saw last year that when we run the ball well and protect the football, we can win a lot of games.
Well, there he is, Mike, Tim Plow. And I got about 6 things written down here within that 2-minute clip, but not what I want, what's best for the team. Our best player is our running back. Great defense, protect the football, grind it out, impose our will. That's who we are right now. We have made a big shift schematically. He called it, quote, that system. He said, we're huddling now. There's going to be less possessions. And then at the end, he said, you play to win the game. It's not about gaudy stats. It's about winning football games. What did all that mean to you?
I wrote down almost the exact same things on my piece of paper here. The 2 that you skipped over, I thought were maybe even the more telling ones. Our best protection is in the run game when we can, get penetration moving forward. Our offensive line can't handle the drop back world. I mean, that's pretty telling right there in terms of everything that you just said. Let's throw in the offensive line there. And I, pat you on the back, pat me on the back. I think we're 1,000% right. Tim Plow and this coaching staff realizes that this is a completely different football team than what they thought they had in fall camp in terms of the offense, not the defense, but just the offense. So I think that they expected a lot more out of this offensive line. I don't know if that's a Ben Dooley thing or not. Ben Dooley is an NFL potential guy, but NFL, is this going to turn into another KHG where it's just going to linger every single week until the season's over and all of a sudden he never even played? I don't think it's anything like that. It seems like it's maybe an injury that he can get repaired, but we haven't seen him, and I don't even know if he's a difference maker. So this football team, I know the coaching staff is getting beat up bad, and I'm not going to sit here and be a cheerleader or beat the drum for a coaching staff that has a lot of warts right now. But I think they are grinding behind the scenes because they're trying to change something. the change is their fault that they didn't know what they had, and now they're trying to fix it. It's a really, really, really weird dynamic going on. Something rare. We've both been covering football for over 50 years, BJ. I don't know if I've ever seen something like this.
And what I want to know is if this is, how involved and how much say Tim Plow had in all of this, because Tim Plow's adjusting to who he has, but you also have a defensive-minded head coach, and so I wonder. And it was very odd because they did mention on the TV broadcast, which must have come from Tim Plow meeting with the broadcast team last week, about this whole philosophy change and wanting to have this stuff. And Andy Avalos was asked about it in the press conference and was like, blew it off. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. And so I tend to think that they wouldn't have changed the entire offense like this without the head coach being involved or knowing about it. But I want to know is if Andy Avalos went down and said, hey, we got a top 10 defense in the country this year. Let's not screw this up. You run the ball, you take care of the ball, and let's grind it out and win these games, 30-17 or whatever if we have to. It's not a style fans like, but it's a style that, potentially could win games, winning ugly. And so I asked Tim Plow about that as well. This was a much shorter clip, but I said, how do you weigh the fans wanting you to score all these points and make it look pretty versus the ultimate goal of winning the game?
Yeah, I think they've seen such great football over long periods of time that their expectations are extremely high. And I love that about being here. I want to be at a place where the expectations are high and they do put pressure on me and our guys to play at a specific level. But for me and for our team, at the end of the day, it's about winning football games. If we win a Mountain West Conference championship and a bowl game, and we do it with the class and integrity that we talk about, that's our end goal, and I'll take a win in any form or fashion. But obviously, I would love us to do a lot better offensively and put up big numbers, and I think we're capable of doing that. But we got to do it within the rhythm of the game and do it in a way that helps out our entire team.
What do you make of that, Mike?
Do it within the rhythm of the game. He keeps talking about that, and there's a clear mandate here of pace in terms of let's make sure that I think Tim Plow's number one job right now is making sure the defense is rested when it goes back out on the football field. It certainly seems that that's like a high priority. It's like run the ball, give me some possessions. I mean, look at the possession game last week in terms of, their drives were down, but I think they went from 48 plays to 71 plays, and the time of possession was ridiculous in terms of what it was from the previous game. So
now, it looked pretty good in the first half. The first half, they still were able to move the ball. It's not like they're coming out from the very start and saying we're going to run every play. But I think once they got the lead, and once they had that lead in the first half and they realized there was no way UT Martin was going to score 20-plus points to beat them in this game, it was like we don't need to all of a sudden show our entire bag of tricks in terms of the passing game. We don't need to push it and risk a couple turnovers on interceptions or things like that. So it's not like it's the entire game. The first half was pretty impressive, in my opinion, 250 yards. I just think once they got up on the lead, they said second half, let's pull, call off the dogs. I don't think we need to push it anymore.
I think that's a good point. That's a very fair point, and I will buy that. Now, I would like to think that especially if they're having this evolving offense, and maybe that's what they wanted to do in the second half is just work on that. Hand the ball off. I'm not sure how many passing attempts Boise State had in the second half, but it seems
it was 9.
It was 9. Okay, so that's
27 runs, 9 passes in the second half.
Okay, so that's obviously the direction that they're going. I think that's the direction they're going, and we'll see what happens against Utah as this offense continues to evolve. I think we're at the point now where we're going to see this evolving offense every single game, and I don't know if it's going to take step forwards, step backs, or if it's going to be neutral, but it's going to be fascinating to watch. There's no doubt about that.
James says, I just wish you would own up to it. Don't hype up what you don't have, then try to pull the wool over the fans' eyes and gaslight. Doesn't sit well for this crowd.
Well, come on. He's owning up to it yesterday. I think, when I'm beating him up for not knowing what they had coming out of fall camp, I don't think that they were hiding it. I think that that's exactly what they thought they had. Now, the big part of it here is Hank Bachmeier in the first 20 minutes of this football season set his mind back 100 years. Hank Bachmeier has no confidence right now. Hank Bachmeier is playing a shell of himself. Hank Bachmeier he's become a game manager. He's not a passer right now. He's got no confidence. There's no zip. There's no energy. There's zero juice coming out of Hank Bachmeier's body. He can run the efficient offense if he needs to, but they don't have the Hank Bachmeier that they thought. So I'm not going to rip on the coaching staff for hiding what they didn't think that they had. I think that they were duped in their own minds about what they had, and now they're scrambling like crazy behind the scenes to try to fix it, and they're being upfront and honest about it.
Derek says this could be a reason. After signing Shakir and Hightower in 2018, they struck out on a lot of wide receiver recruits, while Lead, Blaylock, Richmond all have transferred. Maybe it's a thin wide receiver room that's playing into this. Perry says so we don't have the personnel for the scheme. James says it's going to be a long, painful 2 to 3 years if they last that long. Now, Perry's saying, to your point, they should have figured it out before the season started. Which they may have. They talked about in the offseason was when they had this philosophy change. We just never saw them get to it in the Oregon State game because they were, down to whatever in the early beginning of part of the game. But the last two games we've seen it. James says this is kind of why people are calling for Talon Green. Changes the shape of the offense. Is he the best available? If they are going to go to a run it, ground and pound, clock possession game, is Talon Green a better option for that offense, Mike?
Maybe, but at that point, because I'm not sure I trust Talon Green to pass the football or be a great decision maker. Not that Hank Bachmeier is great at that as well, but the coaches have spoken, and I'm going to give them a little bit of trust that they know what they have in their quarterback. But if you put Talon Green out there and he's not a threat to pass, and his biggest threat is to run, and Boise State's telling the college football world right now, we're going to run the football. Can't football teams line up and just stuff the box and stop that run? Yeah, Talon Green can maybe bust off a 74-yarder every now and then, but what's he going to do for the other 7 plays? That's the razor's edge, which Spencer Danielson likes to talk about, that Tim Plow's playing with this offensive football team right now.
So you're exactly right about the meeting to change the offense. It was like the TV broadcasters were running interference for the coaches. Plow specifically, it was strange. Big Wade says, win by 1 or 50. This one fan likes smash mouth football, play to your strengths, control possession, outstanding defense, my kind of football. Rudy also saying if we can't pass protect, wouldn't it be better to play Green more at an additional running threat? But as you're saying, you can't, Mike, just run every play. Yeah. One would think Rudy, but that's why I guess we're fans, is Plow being held back is what Perry says. That's part of the problem. We don't know where this directive to change this came from. Was this Andy Avalo saying, we're going to do this because this is what we need to do? Or is this Tim Plow saying, my offense won't work here, I got to change things up? I
think it's a combination of both. And you definitely have a defensive coach, like you said, a head coach. I don't think Tim Plow, I have a hard time believing that Tim Plow is behind the scenes fighting and scrapping for more passing and more Hank Bachmeier. I mean, he's too smart of a guy. I don't think he's that stubborn. He seems like a pretty casual guy, and he knows what he has in his offense now. It's obvious what he has in his offense. I would imagine behind the scenes, it's very frustrating for Tim Plow. He may go home and kick the dog a little bit, but I think I would assume that he's a team player, and as a group, they're trying to fix this collectively because that does give them the best chance to win. I can't see him fighting and scratching and begging for more behind the scenes. I think he's a team player at this point.
Well, I want to hear a clip from Kent Riddle in a second, but first we're broadcasting from the Cutwater Canned Cocktail Studios. Pick up a Cutwater Canned Cocktail for your next football experience. Pre-made cocktails ready to enjoy just by opening the can. It's pretty easy. It's awesome. And you can get them at your local grocery store or gas station. We appreciate Cutwater Canned Cocktails. You're looking for a dentist? How about Boise Dentistry Co.? Check them out. Locations across the Treasure Valley. Dr. Chris Miner and his staff do a tremendous job. They make going to the dentist fun, and they can do it with your kids, your grandparents, whoever. Full family dentistry. Check them out. BoiseDentistryCo.com. United Commercial Insurance, another big supporter of us at Bronco Nation News. 44 states around the country, they can write business policy insurance. So if you're owning a business or running the business insurance, a quick call could save you hundreds of dollars. They make business insurance easy. UnitedCommercialInsurance.com. And our friends at Ridley's Family Markets, shop Ridley's.com. Saw Mark Ridley and his son playing catch out in the parking lot tailgating the other day. Great people, and we appreciate their support of Bronco Nation News. Check them out, shopridleys.com. And, of course, Matt Bauscher, the number 1 ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley. The Matt Bauscher Show is going to be returning soon with the start of basketball practice here in a couple weeks. Looking forward to that. So, BauscherRealEstate.com. Check out No Home is Too Big or Too Small for Matt Bauscher. Now, on the postgame show, the home postgame shows, we have Kent Riddle over at the James, and, he got, the thing is, his son is still on the team. He's still friends with all these coaches. So anyone that expected him to come in and totally just, call for Tim Plow's job or rip anybody. That's not going to happen. So there were some people disappointed that he was too neutral or positive, on the post-game show. And I get that. I totally get that. But he also, I think, still brought a tremendous insight as to why some of the things were happening that were happening at the time when he said this. And then when I posted it on Sunday, it got a ton of negative comments, not only saying that he was wrong, but also why would Boise State want to do this? But I just wanted to play this short exchange, Mike, with me and him. And when I talked about why the second half offense struggled so much, this is what he said. And then now, knowing what we know, what Tim Plow said yesterday and what our theory has kind of evolved in the last, 48 hours, I think this makes a lot more sense.
They were trying to protect the lead. I don't think they were out there trying to take shots down the field. I think they were protecting the guys and trying to really establish the run game. And, some of those, everybody gets frustrated to run up the middle for 2 or 3 yards. Well, at the end of the game, those became 3, 4, 5. They popped a couple big ones.
Yeah.
They popped a couple big ones in the first half too, but I think that's what they were working on. I know everybody wants it to be better, but you're playing situational football. And when you have a lead, you got to protect it.
Yep.
And so, do you get a little conservative? Yeah, maybe. I mean, offensively, I thought they showed tremendous growth.
On 327 yards for the game against an FCS team, though a lot of fans are saying, hey, you got to score more than 30 points, have more than 300 yards. But you're saying it's a little deeper than that.
Yeah. I mean, all you need is one more point than them.
Yep. Yep.
So you're not going to do anything that puts the game in jeopardy, the team in jeopardy. You're not going to do stuff that puts the defense on the field more, puts more special teams plays in the game. Like you're kind of trying to run some clock, take care of the game. They got plenty left in the bag.
Oh, yeah.
There's no need to unload it all in this game when you haven't won. And again, in my opinion, they were trying to control the clock.
Okay.
That was their focus in the second half, was trying to control the clock. They weren't worried about big plays and all that kind of stuff. And, I mean, holding calls are going to happen at some point in the game. They're just going to happen.
The second half play calls, to your point, was 9 passes, 27 runs.
Yeah. So I think that was the focus in the second half. And is it exciting? Yeah, maybe not. But for the team, it was exciting because they won. They did what they needed to do to win.
So I know fans don't love hearing that kind of analysis because I saw some people saying, "Oh, the one way you protect the lead is to keep scoring and score more points." But from a football perspective, and that's a guy that's coached for over 30 years, he saw it in the stands. And when you hear what he says, and then you hear what the coaches are saying, it now sounds like you get a lead and you try to hold it. It's not the old Boise State where you're going to try to just keep scoring 50 points a game. It sounds like that. What'd you make of what he said there?
I think if we put together everything that we've heard over the last 24 hours, including that, and that's the first time I've heard him talk about that, and it makes all the sense in the world. This football team, and I'm stealing some of your words, wants to play smash mouth offense and play elite defense. That's going to become the identity of this football team. And as long as healthy, as long as George Holani stays healthy and Ashton Genty remains a reliable backup and or a number one, if George Holani goes down and his track record of staying healthy is a little bit shaky right now. Why not? I mean, I know that's not the Boise State way, but isn't the Boise State way just to win football games? I guess I'm sounding like Riddle right now. If Boise State decides that the strength of its football team is smash mouth offense and an elite defense, I think we have to embrace that. I don't care about flea flickers or statues of liberties or any of that other kind of stuff. I do think you just want to win a football game. And the Mountain West is available for the taking. It's a wide open race right now. You got one more crappy non-conference game to El Paso this weekend, and then you dive in and change your season. So I'm on board, BJ. I'm really on board. And it's a great story. It's going to be an evolving story. And for you and I in the media, it's going to be a really, really fun couple weeks to watch what happens.
Yeah, I mean, you only got 12 games. And I've never been the guy. I mean, if a team I'm rooting for doesn't play great, and I said this yesterday, like, did they win? I'm not going to be upset after they won. I mean, there's only 12 times. You wait 365 days for 12 games. I don't know why fans are getting so caught up in, acting like they lost 30-7 instead of won 30-7. But I think it is going to take a mind shift from a lot of this fan base. You're not going to score 50 points. You're not going to score 500 yards of offense or whatever with this team this year. It looks like it's going to be a lot of George Jelani, a lot of Ashton Genty, a lot of running the football, and some safe throws for Hank Bachmeier. And you're going to try to win these games 31-14, Mike. That's what it's going to be.
Yep, I totally agree. Let's bring it on, and let's keep finding the negatives. Let's keep looking for the positives, and this is going to be a great story to follow.
3-6 today. You can listen to JP, Prater, and Johnny on Idaho Sports Talk on Prater and the Ball Game. We appreciate you for coming on as always, Mike, and we'll be listening today.
And likewise tomorrow, we're getting a little shift as well. Tomorrow at 4 o'clock, BJ Rains with the Bronco Nation News Report on Idaho Sports Talk. It's a short week, so we're shuffling some things around. We'll see you tomorrow at 4, BJ.
I can't reach it right here, but I'm packing for my trip, and I got my Albert Pujols jersey right here ready to go. I'll be in San Diego. I'm hoping he hits 1 tonight. I don't want 2. If he gets a 700 before I get there, that's going to suck. But I want 1. I want 1 tonight somehow. So tomorrow night, when I'm at Petco Park, I can see home run number 700, and then hopefully I'll be in left field stands. Maybe I can try to add to the Bronco Nation News budget by catching number 700 and selling that puppy. We'll see. But
I love that. I love that idea. Enjoy the trip. We'll bring that up on the show tomorrow as you're bound for San Diego. Very cool deal, BJ. Very cool.
Thanks as always, Mike. And again, thanks everybody for watching. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, subscribe to the KTIK YouTube channel as well to watch all their live broadcasts. And again, 3-6 with Prater and Johnny today on Idaho Sports Talk. So have a great day. We'll talk to you later. Bronco Nation News Live. Bronco